Hey, it's MK, and I am here with my final video for the cookbook album that I have been doing. I printed off all of my pictures. I printed off way more pictures than I needed to. I just really wanted to make sure that I had enough to go through my albums, and then I have individual pictures of each of my kids to make it personalized for them. So I've separated those pictures. I've got a pile for Kyrie, a pile for Isaac, a pile for Gabriel, and a pile for William. I'm going to be working on just Isaac's photos right at the moment, because his album is actually going to have a recipe, but then a layout to match the recipe. I just haven't put the recipe in the album just yet. And so the other kids won't have that. And so I just really wanted to share with you guys how I was going to incorporate that. So this is basically my leftover video, even though my leftover video was supposed to be yesterday. And today I'm actually supposed to be sharing what I'm going to be working with for the rest of the month. Truth be told, I'm not going to be making videos for the rest of the month. I have to get ready for the Black Friday sale, and there's so much stuff that I have to do. So I won't have videos for the next 2 days. But I did take all of my wood veneer and I finished peeling off the masking, so that way it was just a one and done instead of as I go. I have a couple journal spots left over. I have a few of the die cut pieces left over. I also took my sticker sheet and trimmed it down so that way it was a little bit more manageable, and I can see all the little individual pieces instead of trying to look at one large sheet. I also have the larger pieces from the sticker sheet and all the tiny words, and then my chipboard pieces as well as my faux brads. And then the paper that I have are just the 4 sheets of 6x8s that I ended up not using, as well as my branding strips. So for my branding strips, I'm actually going to cut them down so that way they are, again, more manageable, because I'm only working with 6x8 pieces, or papers, I should say. So I'm going to pick my favorite side of either one and cut off the white part. And then if I like what's left on the other side of the white section, or the actual brand section, then I'm going to keep it as well. Just so that way I had a little bit more to play with as far as paper, and I don't have to sit there and flip and flop. I can see both sides of it now. Now, when it comes to something that I really, really want, I'm just going to cut it straight in half. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I want more of this. No, I want more of that. Because truth be told, I don't know what I'm going to be using when it comes to all of these strips. I don't know if I'm going to use all of them. I don't know if I'm going to use any of them. I just really wanted to share with you guys that I have 4 pieces of paper and this branding strip. All the rest are embellishments. I also have to let you guys know that some of the pieces that I'm going to be playing with today, or creating some of the little layouts, are the pocket pages. And so I've already got paper in my pocket pages, so that way I could see how thick of a book I was going to have or end up with, and also too whether or not I have too many pages in my album. So I've already removed quite a few pages. I think I removed 2 pages per section, and I have 8 sections. And then at the end of the video, I'll take out even more pages because it just ended up being too big. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, if my kids don't type up the recipe and put it in exactly like this, then their recipes aren't going to fit. Normally it's an 8x10 printed paper that ends up fitting, and then they just go get a regular album with page protectors, and that's it. So I'm thinking that this album or this recipe book is going to be a one and done. I don't foresee them adding recipes to this specific book. So I'm okay with a few blanks in case before they move out there's a couple more that they want to add, because I do have room for that. But as far as them doing it themselves, I don't foresee that. Maybe my daughters, my youngest daughters, but not my boys. All right, so for my first one, I'm just going to have Close Knit Home as a little title piece. And then, of course, this is the fruit salad that we absolutely love. And I just take tortillas, put butter and cinnamon on top of them, toast them so I get cinnamon chips. And then I mix up our favorite fruit with a little bit of sugar, brown sugar, and jelly. And then it makes a nice little creamy sauce for a salsa-ish. And then I put it right in the middle of our tortilla plate. And it's a plate, and then I put the tortillas back together, basically. but they're all in little bite-sized pieces. And so, yeah, my children absolutely love these. I put this in the appetizer section because it's more of a snack rather than a breakfast. It's too sweet to be a breakfast. And of course, it could also be a dessert as well. But I put it in an appetizer in case they want to have it with friends over waiting for a meal. I'm also going to flip through all of the pages because I've got the photos already panned out and planned of where I want them. And I basically decided, okay, every page is going to have a relatable photo or more. There's going to be a reason why I put those photos where I do. So this one here is us eating outside. I couldn't remember if this was breakfast. I think it is based off of the burritos that my kids are eating. I think we had breakfast burritos. And so we were having breakfast out on the patio. It was just a warm, sunny day. And I like the fact that I could have the little houses. And because I had multiples of the houses, I decided to take that large sticker piece and pop up one of the die cut pieces just to make it look like it's a 3D effect type of thing. And then I picked all the leaves and the trees just to give it a little bit of a scenery look to it. And then I did find a huge title piece for this. Not that every layout needs to have a title, but I thought, you know what, I'm doing a layout. I've got all these leftover bits. I might as well use up what I can, as much as I can. But I didn't want to make it too bulky, right? I definitely don't want the book to be more of a scrapbook than it is a recipe album. And so I did find this word family. It is a chipboard piece. So it fits perfectly because I've already popped up that house, and the house is going to sit with the chipboard piece. So now they're the same dimension, and I really didn't add another dimension to this layout. So still sticking with a little bit of the thinner areas, right? It's not too thick, but it's not too thin either. And there's a lot of texture in this album, especially when I went through and used my fingernail to scuff up some of the edges along the flowers and the trees and the leaves and things like that. So I'm just going to take these leaves as if the trees have fallen leaves, and I'm going to scatter them all over the layout. No rhyme or reason, but I really didn't know where else I was going to use these leaves. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to use them all on one layout. I'm going to pop some of them up. I'm going to glue some of them directly to the page. Just give this page a lot of movement and show that we are outside, right? That you know, we ate lots of meals outside. It's such an easy cleanup. I absolutely love it when we eat outside, and it's just so much nicer and easier to clean up, and you don't feel crowded. It's just breathable, right? Especially when you have a large family and you're stuck in the dining area. It just seems crowded all the time. And then I almost forgot this little ticket thing, so I was going to tuck that back in there. And then this is what I meant, is I've got a lot of photos that are going to go on these 3x4 pockets. Oh, I forgot this little sticker that I wanted to put on there. I can't remember what it says, but I forgot it. So this is actually going to go on the same page as the recipe that's called Dad's Ramen. Now, I don't know if there's a recipe for this or if my husband made this up. I don't know. All I know is my children call it Dad's Ramen. That's all. Even when they write it as a part of the menu, it's called Dad's Ramen. And so I happened to find a picture. I don't know if my kids took this picture or if I took this picture. I have no idea. But I happened to find a bowl of the Dad's Ramen. I know I've scrapbooked this in my bigger albums before, but a different picture of the ramen actually cooking. And so this one here just kind of made me giggle because it's like, oh, I actually have a real picture. And then of course I found Dad in the kitchen, and he's holding up a beer because he was making fun of one of his friends that had to work and he was off. So that's why that is that picture, but it's of Dad in the kitchen. And I thought, oh, that's absolutely perfect. So I went ahead and put those on the same page. So my first piece of paper that I'm going to be using, I've used up the branding strips so far, but my first piece of paper, I'm going to cut it right in half so that way I have a nice block in the middle of this particular divider. And I'm just going to use it as a foundation piece, like a starter of almost like the bottom of, to start a cluster is basically all that I'm doing. And I do fast forward because this This took me 4 hours to do, you guys. So I know that the first one took me 6 hours, and then of course the 4 hours for this. And then there was another part of the project that I didn't record, was I actually inked all of my white pieces of cardstock. I'm not sure if you guys remember, a couple days ago, I was flipping through the album and I had a ton of white space. I took all that cardstock and I ran my ink pads over the cardstock to color them really fast. And whatnot. I have no idea how long it took me to actually get that done. So I've actually lost count at how long it took me to make this album, but I would say at least 2 to 3 days, at least that I made this album in. Which is pretty good, considering I probably would have started it, and if I hadn't have had the memento of kit conspiracying and needing to get these videos out, I probably would have just started it and then set it off to the side and not did it until my kids were like graduation day, is when I would have been like, oh, I probably should do that. So I am glad. And it's a cookie cutter cookbook, you guys. I made the first one, or designed the first one how I wanted it, and then I will just rinse and repeat for all of the others. There won't be any guesswork. There won't be any different types of manipulation to any of them, except for I will take Isaac's pictures out and replace them with my other children, right? I still will have Roscoe in there. I'll still have Dad's ramen pictures in there. All the foodie pictures that you see me use when I have Nana and Papa and Grandma and Grandpa, all of them will be exactly and in the exact same spots. So it is going to be fast and easy once I start, like I said, rinsing and repeat. So for this one, I really wanted Roscoe to be put in here. I don't have pictures of Shadow because he usually did not like to be in the way. He did not like to, like if somebody dropped a pot or a cup or a spoon or something, he was very jittery. So he usually laid on his pillow in the living room when all this commotion was going on. But Roscoe, on the other hand, that's not his game. Roscoe is right in the middle of our kitchen every single time. I mean, you could hear the kids all the time. Roscoe, Roscoe, move. Roscoe, come on. It's like a common phrase every time we go to cook something, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, it doesn't matter. Roscoe is right there going, drop something. I dare you. I need to eat. So of course I had to put that in a foodie album, right? Because that was like his mainstay. So, and then this is the layout that I was telling you about that I really wanted, and why I recorded Isaac's instead of the other two boys' is because of the fact that he is really good at making raviolis. And so I definitely wanted to do that layout. It was a fast and simple layout, so by the time I'm done talking about it, it's over with. But I definitely wanted each of the kids, whatever their meal is cooking, that they actually have, a layout like that. So anyways, and then this one here, one of the boys picked out homemade hamburgers, and that is actually my dad's recipe. So I'm putting a picture of my dad right above where the homemade hamburgers are. And so that way they know that was Grandpa Allen's recipe, and will hopefully remember him every time they want to make this specific recipe. But I do remember we used to never ever buy already preformed patties. He would sit there and mix the meat and smash them and get them perfectly flat every single time. I have no idea. They'd never fall apart. I mean, they were the perfect hamburgers. I can never do it. Mine turn out to be like balloons. But I don't know how he does it. It's awesome. And then this one here is actually a picture of every single one of them. And I actually had a sticker that said "the kids," and I completely forgot about it. I was going to put it on here, and I just completely forgot about it. Instead, I picked "give thanks," that we are able to gather together, at least once a year. That all 5 of my children, wow, I can't count, can actually be under one roof at the same time, and it's just, I love it, you guys. I really do. And so I really wanted it to be in all of their albums so they can see that, that's important. Even though it's not on one of the main dividers, I just definitely wanted it to be a part of it. And then, of course, in the main dish, I also wanted to include breakfast, because of the fact that we do a lot make breakfast for dinner, because with Dad's schedule getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then, of course, the kids heading off to school, and the summers are even worse because 9 times out of 10, we don't even see our kids for the summer. Some of them work on the fire crew, and so they're gone for 2 weeks at a time, all that stuff. So we got into the habit of having breakfast for dinner, and then our breakfasts are usually free for all. You go eat when you're hungry, I'll go eat when I'm hungry, that sort of thing. And so I definitely wanted to put breakfast down in the main menu. And then, of course, in the 4x6 pocket, below those two, I wanted to talk about that, maybe journal a little bit on that part. So here is one of the meals. I can't remember if this is Thanksgiving, if this is Easter, or if this is Christmas dinner. I honestly cannot remember, but I definitely wanted, a picture pictating that, we do big meals too, right? We don't just always do one pot wonders. And then here is the banana bread that is made. I don't know if this is next to the banana bread recipe. I cannot remember, but I absolutely love my wood piece that says Grandma's Bakery. Now, this isn't Grandma's recipe. This is a recipe that a friend from work actually shared with me. And it has been my most favorite banana recipe I have ever had. I do like a good banana bread. I will love everyone else's because I didn't make it. But when I make it, this is my favorite one. It's super fast and easy, and it doesn't necessarily just be limited to bananas. You can omit the bananas and you can add any other fruit, or you can even do carrot bread, you can do zucchini bread, anything with this base bread recipe. So it's just super, super yummy. So I wanted to just feature that, and I think the bread recipe is up at the top. I also have all of the recipes if you guys are interested. Now, these are just our recipes. They're not ours that we made up. They're just ones that have either been passed down, or we found on the internet, or I started making, throw it in a pot and hope it tastes good type of things. And I just started writing them down so the kids could throw it in a pot and hope it tastes good too. So they're not uber special recipes, you guys, but I do have them down below in a Dropbox link. If you guys are interested, go grab them. I left them in the 4x6, 6x8, and the 3x4 format, but feel free to change the format as you see fit. It is entirely up to you. I just changed it for how little the recipes are. Some of them are smaller, some of them are larger, things like that. And I just adapted them to fit in the pages. So if you're interested, go down there, grab them. Just don't manipulate the Dropbox file to where they disappear and then nobody else can enjoy them either, right? You can definitely download them, but don't delete after download, right? So I had that problem during the summit where somebody was hitting the wrong button, and when they downloaded, they were deleting it at the same time, and everybody went and it's empty. So anyways, moving on. I'm almost done, you guys, getting down to the last couple pieces. Or the last couple photos. I do love adding some photos. I was very impressed with how many photos, just going back. I think I only went back to 2019 because I wanted to make sure that I had enough photos, which I ended up having way too many. You guys, that was nuts. I had way too many photos. I did not need to go back that far, but it was nice because I found Isaac rinsing off vegetables, and he was just barely tall enough to see over the sink. And I just absolutely loved it. I found Grandma and Grandpa in the kitchen during Thanksgiving. And then, of course, it went perfectly good with this little cutting board that was left over from last year's advent calendar. It just says Our Family Recipe. And then it's got a recipe of how families work together with a lot of patience and love and things like that. So that was absolutely perfect. And then, of course, this is my This is like an apple crumble. I don't really know exactly what it's called, but it's another throw it in a pot and hope it tastes good recipe. I don't even remember how I made it, if I'm being honest, but I was hoping that if I put it in an album, that it would jar my memory and get me to remember how I made this. Because I know I used to have an apple slicer, and I took the apple slicer and I think I sliced it up, put all the apples down at the bottom, covered them with butter and brown sugar and oatmeal, or the oats, not oatmeal, but oats, and then some other stuff. I don't remember, just whatever I had in the fridge, or not fridge, but pantry, if I'm being honest. But now I can't remember, so I don't know. But I put this here in case that I do remember it, and then it has a 4x6 card up on the top to where if I do end up remembering it, I can go ahead and put it up there. But I liked that I had a basket of apples, and then I found this word that says casserole. So it's like apple casserole, if you read between the lines. I just thought it was really clever. I did end up with a little gap, so I'm just going to take a scrap of this branding strip and put that in between the gap, and it fills it in beautifully. I love that. Didn't even have to try very hard for that one. But if I find the recipe, I will add it in. This one ends up becoming my most favorite layout that I make, and these are no bake pumpkin cheesecakes that I made one year for Thanksgiving. I do have to say that they weren't the biggest hit, but I also think that I didn't mix it very well. Like I was being lazy and didn't want to bring out my mixer or something. I cannot remember why nobody liked it, but I think that I'm going to retry the recipe with something a little different. Even though I've got all the ingredients listed, I think I'm going to retry it and see if I can redo these little jarred desserts. I love doing jarred desserts like this. It's one of my favorite things. They just look so sweet and cute, and they're perfectly portioned for for parties and gatherings, things like that. I just absolutely love them. I just love the organization of them, if I'm being honest, because then they can be eaten slowly, and you don't have a big old casserole dish or pie tin or something in there taking up space until they're finally gone and eaten, right, in your fridge. So yeah, I think that's my main reason on why I like little jars like this. All right, so I pulled out all the pumpkin things, anything that said pumpkin, anything that had a pumpkin on it. I've got little brads that have a pumpkin on it. This little sticker that's got a banner that says, "Hey Pumpkin." Well, I'm going to try to cover up the "Hey Pumpkin," but I liked the little heart off to the side, so I'm going to try to keep it to where I could still see it, and then also see the little banner behind it, so it looks like it's a layered piece on purpose. And then I'm going to cover up the word pie, because I did not make pumpkin pie. I made pumpkin cheesecake. And then, of course, I have a spoon and a bowl, because I just thought that well, not a spoon, but the measuring spoons and a bowl, because it's basically all I needed to make this meal is measuring spoons and a bowl to mix it in. And then, of course, add my brads and call it good. And then I think, I decided to print off my Viking cookies, a picture of those. So that way I can share with you guys how easy it's going to be to just add a photo right to these layouts. And I didn't really know, I'm not measuring how big of a photo or anything. I just know, hey, look, there's a photo, there's a spot, I'll trim it down. It doesn't need to be the whole, like I just cut one cookie off. It's fine. You get to see what it looks like. Without the one cookie. And then this one I thought was kind of cute. It just says place settings. I'm going to have the plates be like a band between, and then of course show the cleanup afterwards, because I feel like it's important to show people that, or not people, but my kids, my boys, that it's okay, to wash dishes. It's okay to use more than one pan or pot. It is fine. I mean, those are the best meals, are the ones that take up more than one pot. In my opinion, every time that we pull out 2 to 3 pots, my kids are like, "Oh, a 5-course meal," when really it's the same thing as what a one pot wonder is. It's just instead of dumping everything in one pot, everything's kind of separated and whatnot. So I've also got a picture of my kids, my daughters' no-bake cookies, because I think all the boys wanted the no-bake cookies. So I went ahead and put those up above where the no-bake cookie recipe is. And then I also, in the this and that, I'm going to add my biscuits and gravy. I haven't done it yet, but I make a homemade biscuits and gravy. I love, like I've said before, I love making my own sauces and gravies and things like that. I just, ever since I learned how to do it, I love doing it. It's so cheap compared to buying it in a can or in a jar or anything like that. And it's not too much of something, right? You can add it, but you can never take it away. And I always felt like the jars that you get in the shop or in the store, I always felt like there was a little bit too much something, but I never was able to figure out what that something was. So I love it. I do the jars still. I'm not going to say I do get lazy on occasion. But when I am in the mood, I love making my own sauces and gravies and things. So I definitely want to put that in there to have my own homemade biscuits and gravy. And so I just put the pictures in. Here I found a glaze recipe. And it's actually an icing. It starts off as an icing, but if you add just a little bit of this, then it turns into a frosting. If you added a little bit of this, then it turns into a thicker frosting. And so I went ahead and I put all three on one in one pocket page section. And then of course I found a bread where I actually put the frosting or this is actually just the icing. I didn't use the frosting. And so I went ahead and put that right next to it so they get an idea of what it looks like. And last but not least, I've got this little, this was just recent actually, of our kitchen lit by candlelight, because my children were getting ready to go to school, and it's dark when they do during the winter times. It's dark when they're getting ready to go to school, and the power was out. And so we had candles lighting up the whole house, and I just loved the ambiance of what our kitchen looked like as they were making their lunches. And so I just used that as my little last page. And so now I'm going to just do a little flip through so you guys can see. I still have to fix my mac and cheese bites. I'm not sure exactly how the flip flap's going to work just yet. I talked to one of my sons. He gave me a really good idea and also showed me that I glued the wrong recipe down already. So I need to fix that. But other than that, and as I go through this album, I'm taking out where I feel like there's extra pages. I found where I did not glue my hamburger recipe down. I didn't glue the beef and broccoli down. So I got to go through and glue a few more things down. Sharing with you guys that this is why I put this picture here. There's my banana bread, just all the things. But I am taking out some of the extra pages that I didn't feel like were needed, just because of the fact that my album was getting a little too thick. I definitely need to still go and get hole reinforcers, and I'm going to take a rubber band and put it at the end of my book because naturally the book went and started curving. All right, you guys, that is all that I have for you guys for this month. Thank you so much for sticking along with me for this long of a video, as well as this project. It was so much fun. It really was. Also too, like I said, I'm not going to do the last 2 days of November. I apologize. I just have way too much to do. And I really want to get started on the Advent calendar and sharing with you guys what I'm doing with that. So anyways, again, thank you so much. And I'll check you guys all later. Bye.